Hey everyone, Scott here from Classic Elite, and today I am going to talk a little bit about Dying Light, the following, and show you some gameplay footage. We were contacted by Techland to see if we'd have any interest in checking the game out, and I thought, sure, why not? I've heard great things about Dying Light, and getting some exposure to it with the expansion being released tomorrow, I thought it would be a lot of fun. So let's take a look at the game and what I think so far. So if you're like me and you are new to Dying Light, I can give you a brief synopsis. It's not a spoiler or anything, but it's an open world survival game set in kind of a zombie apocalypse sort of setting. And you use a lot of combat and parkour mechanics to get around enemies. And they have a daylight cycle, so during the day the the zombies seem to be weaker, and at night they seem to be stronger. There's a skill tree that I've noticed, so you can upgrade like strength and agility, things like that. And then there's also some crafting mechanics and loot of getting different items. So when it comes to that, it's been a lot of fun so far. So that's a general idea of what the game is about. So let me go over a few things that I guess are new with the expansion that weren't there in the original Dying Light. So from what I understand, this is a standalone expansion to Dying Light, and if you already have the Dying Light Season Pass, this update will be free for you. But you can also get it as a separate purchase if you don't have the Season Pass. And there's a new story campaign. There's controllable vehicles, which I guess is new, and there's also a new map, so that's pretty cool. Like I said, I had no exposure to Dying Light before Techland got a hold of us, so for me this has been a pretty cool experience, but I do wish that I could talk a little bit more knowledgeably about the differences between the expansion and the original base game. I will say this, though, overall, I've enjoyed what I've played, and I wish that I would have been exposed to the game even sooner. But one thing I'm really struggling with is the platforming. It works well, but my brain is just mapped a different way to use a different set of controls. So using the bumper and left stick to run to help get to certain ledges has been a challenge for me, but there have been a lot of times where I've really gotten into the rhythm of the game. There's a lot of obstacles that seem to be placed appropriately for you to have really long jumps, really fluid kind of fleeing away from zombies, which has been fun. But then occasionally I'll run into a part where I feel like my brain's not working well and I just need to adjust to the control scheme. I've been playing a lot of Mario Maker, and platformers are my favorite kind of game, so I'm just used to a classic set of controls when it comes to platforming. But let me know in the comments, am I alone here? Is this a common complaint about the game, or is this something that I just kind of stink at and need to play more of the game to get used to it? I will admit something when it does come to the controls. I have not taken the time to try to customize everything. When a game's designers put together a control scheme to navigate menus and just the terrain that you're in, I generally tend to go with default controls. I feel like there's usually a reason that the buttons are placed the way that they are. In some cases I'll change it around, but in this instance I left the controls alone. I also haven't used a mouse and keyboard. I've been using a 360 gamepad, but there is keyboard and mouse support, but I'm really not any good at keyboard and mouse either, so I'd rather play with a controller. And I did also use my Steam controller, and I should take some time to really program some of that. I think that if I would use the bottom triggers of the Steam controller, I might have an easier time with the platforming. But using just the default Steam controller controls, it worked well. So it was cool to have that work just right out of the gate. So since I am playing this on PC, I did want to talk a little bit about the performance that I've had. Now, I've got a graphics card that's a couple of years old. It's a 7950 from AMD. I think Sapphire made it. So it's overclockable, but I don't have it overclocked right now. I'm struggling with the new AMD drivers. They get unstable when I overclock now. So I've left it at stock, and the game overall has run well. And I couldn't crank up the settings though, which is understandable. Even though the game's a couple of years old, when I bought my graphics card, it wasn't top of the line at that time either. So I'm used to playing things at either high or medium settings. In this case, a mix of high and medium worked well for me. I got a really nice frame rate. When I had the settings cranked up too high, it would seem to lock around 30 frames, and I would get frame rate stuttering when I would make sudden movements. But that kind of went away when I scaled back the graphics settings. And you can change like motion blur and ambient occlusion. It wasn't the most detailed set of PC settings, but I'm not like a real PC aficionado when it comes to the settings, so I don't need a lot to be satisfied, and there certainly looked like some customizability there. I think there might be some settings that certain PC gamers would really like to have the opportunity to change, but for me, I was fine with the options that were presented. So my initial impressions of the game are positive. I am definitely going to continue playing the game, and if you'd like some more information about Dying Light the Following and the differences between the base game and the expansion, I'm going to link Dying Light's YouTube channel below because they've got an 11-minute video up with one of the developers talking about the differences between the base game and the expansion. Now, they didn't require or even request that I put the YouTube video in the description of this video that I'm making, but I watched it because they suggested that I did it while I was in-game, and I thought it was really good information, so I wanted to show you where I got a lot of my information from and show you my experiences up to this point. If you liked my commentary, make sure to check out our podcast. There will be links in the description there. If you Google us, Classic Elite, you'll find us on a lot of different social media platforms if you enjoy following people. Hopefully you'll subscribe to our channel, and I want to thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon.